Welcome to the overview of CopyPasta um, in game development, particularly games QA. I dealt with a whole bunch of debug commands, command line arguments for any given feature or element that was being tested. I don't know about other people, but I would generally have a notepad that would keep track of that. I would list out every single debug command that I want to test for any given thing. So effects, I would have a collection, and whenever I needed to send a debug command, if it wasn't in my memory, I would come to the notepad, I Control F, and look for the command I need, and then copy paste it. Control C, and then go to the process, Control V. I didn't like that manual process. There's a lot of manual overhead and keeping things in your head or organized in a notepad that I didn't really appreciate and like very much. So I went and created this program to help organize and facilitate the ability to send debug commands without any manual overhead. In other words, I don't have to go to the process, hit the tilde to open the command console and type out the command. I can simply just press a button, and where all the debug commands are not in, just a document, a text form, I can actually organize them into different views and to organized decks or tabs. So that's what this overview is going to be for. First, I'm going to unlock just going to use the trial view. That will give access to all the views. And now we have access to single, bulk, script, dump, find, process groups, searching for any processes currently running, settings that are involved with launching process, settings that are involved with having particular prompts, and being able to build a bulk tab easily. And we'll go over all of those shortly. For here, we're going to be adding a group process. I'm going to be targeting Oblivion. So we're going to add the process. I'm going to select the primary process. Map it. I'm going to looking for the Oblivion Remastered executable. We're going to assign it. I have settings to look for the process, probe it for up to 20 seconds. You can extend this, lower it, depending on how long it takes the process to run. I'm going to tell it to run one process. These are for command line arguments. I don't need any command line arguments, but this will support command line arguments, and this will support a command line argument as a counter. So if you needed multiple windows with different counters assigned, then that's what you would use. So with Oblivion Remastered selected, I'm going to launch it. It's going to probe for the process. It finds the process ID. Tells you which one it is. And now you've successfully created a group process for Oblivion. This will demo how we use arguments and counter arguments. I'm going to demo that on Notepad. So I'm going to select the primary process. I'm going to go to shortcuts and assign Notepad. And for this, we're going to launch 4. This is for the static argument. And this will be the counter argument. And then we're going to launch. So as you can see, there's 4. You can't see it, but these are static argument counters, and each one is represented here now in the list. And that's how you would use and assign arguments. Static and then a counter if the process program supports it. Now you can also use the search PIDs to add processes. So I'm going to show how that's done. Minimize that, clean it up. So Notepad, I have running notepads. I'm going to search the PIDs. Note, and then here's notepads. I'm going to select the notepads. And I'm going to add to the PID list of Notepad. Come back to groups, and here they are all added. And there's also a quick connect feature, which I'll demo on Oblivion, so I'm going to remove this detected process. And with Oblivion still running, it's already running, I'm going to use the Quick Connect runtime instance, and it's going to auto detect it and immediately connect. Now this will automatically detect any running processes, so if one is no longer running, it should auto detect it. So I'm going to close these. Game processes generally take a little bit longer to shut down fully. There it goes. Now some processes that you want to connect to will actually launch an initial bootstrap process, and it would be the secondary process you want to connect to. And this is to demo how you do that. And I'm going to use Expedition 33 as the example because that does launch a bootstrap process. I'm going to select Expedition 33. I'm going to want to launch 1. To show what's going on here, I'm going to launch Expedition 33. It connects to it. And in the task manager, we can see that Expedition 33 is running, and the actual process we'd want to connect to is the Sandfall Win64. So we would add a secondary process name right here by typing in that string with the executable, or even easier is using the search PIDs. We search for Expedition, which I've already typed it in, so let's refresh. There's Sandfall. And we're going to go down to Expedition 33 and add as a secondary process. We can see that now the secondary process is Sandfall. So to demo this, this is how you turn on to look for the secondary process. I'm going to close Expedition 33. Let it wake up. Now with the secondary process checked, I'm going to launch the group, and it should connect to and recognize Sandfall, the secondary process we want. Now if you wanted the bootstrap process, of course you could just come to the search PIDs, and this is the bootstrap, and we can just add to the PID list. Now we have both Expedition 33 and we have Sandfall. That's the secondary process adding. Now to work with debug commands with games, we're going to use Oblivion as the example here. You have to have an understanding, or know, basically, what kind of prompts it takes, what kind of input it takes to be able to open up the command console, and just have that basic understanding. So for Oblivion, you'd hit the tilde, it opens up the command console, you would type in your command, hit enter, and then press the tilde again to close it. We need to essentially set up that group process prompts. So this is the start prefix of what would happen, what input would need to be pressed in order to open the command console. So in this case, We're gonna, it isn't actually the tilde, it's that symbol. And then the end, so this is after the debug command is typed into the command console. What needs to happen? We need to simulate the sending of it, which is the enter key. And then to complete, once we're all done sending the command, we then need to close the command console. So that would be done with that. So we come back to groups. This group prompt input handling is where we would set that up. So we want to set the tilde, not the tilde, whatever this symbol is, I don't know, in order for it to open up the command console, and then whatever command is being automated to send, we need it to actually send the command with the enter key, so we need to hit enter, and then we want to close the command console once it's done, so we would use the complete. So start is before the command, end is after the command is sent, and to complete is in order, like when you're all done and closing the command console. Now let's go ahead and give it a shot. Now before we can give this a shot, we need to properly set up a debug command to send to it, or a cheat, whatever it is that you know is your fancy. I've already created this spells deck, so I could technically create a whole collection of all the different spell commands. I have preemptively selected this Open Very Easy Lock spell, and we're going to add it to this debug command, or this tile. Did I not? Oops, there we go. So now this tile is assigned with this debug command. And something I didn't account for in the beginning was Oblivion has a bootstrap process and it has the shipping process. We need to add this secondary shipping executable to this as the secondary process. And remember, we could do it by adding the name manually here, but we're going to use the search PIDs. And here is the shipping process. Click it. We're going to add it as the secondary process. Come back here, tell it we want it to look for the secondary process, and then we're going to quick add the secondary process. It should show the Win64 shipping. It does, so we're going to select that one. We have our group prompt set up here, and I do not believe it takes clipboard pasting, so we are going to use simulated typing. Okay, so we're connected to the process. We have our debug command, our process is here, so let's see what happens. And then let's check. Open Very Easy Lock. There it is. And it went through. Happy day. Now we can continue to organize our spells deck. For instance, we can add a user, like our user, whatever we think that this is, so Very Easy Lock. That way it'll become easier to locate, like if you just have a username like lock, you'll be able to find it later. Now these tiles support various kinds of debug commands. This is just a straight, direct send. This will direct send with a bool token at the end. You can use true, false, 1, or 0. There's also a parameter mode, which allows you to basically use, well, I'll just show you. So we're going to use player.addSpell as the core but debug command, and we're going to set some IDs in here. So player.addSpell, and then parameters, we need to find some. So let's go to I'm going to go to this site. I'm going to get protect. Get a couple more. Is this one? Now we have player ID add spell of these 3 different IDs, and let's just call this is alteration. Let's say we had every single alteration spell ID set up in there. Now we're going to try to send it. Now to Oblivion, with the menu open, it will not. It'll have a difficult time reading the enter send command because the UI takes enter as an action. So we're going to close that, and then we're going to send these spells. Let me show you what spells I do have. So you can see. Okay, now let's go ahead and send. I don't remember what I selected. Okay, we're going to do the second one. And the third one. I hope these are good IDs. Alright, so all 3 were sent. Let's take a look at our collection. I know that Protect was one of them. Protect Other was the other. And then Stark Reality was the third. So those are the 3 debug commands that we just organized into this little tile here. To continue on the topic of organizing single layouts with a bunch of debug commands, let's say we wanted to create a collection of all the alteration spells. So right now we have, a view, it's just a default view, and then the spells. We're going to add a new deck. We're going to call it alteration spells. And we're going to use this file IO button. Import lines from a text file into the current deck. I have already created a collection of alteration spells with the various IDs. It's not all of them, but it's a decent enough to show the example. Put that into the imports, and I'm going to open, and then it brings in all of the alteration spells you had a collection of. You'd still have to go in and if you wanted to rename each of these, but it's a quick means of just dumping an already existing collection of debug commands directly into the deck. Well, another thing that CopyPasta supports is the ability to record inputs. It just doesn't support debug commands. It'll actually support recording your keyboard and mouse movements. So we're just going to demo this, we're going to add actions. DSL tokens, technical term, and we're going to add a tile. This is the record button, action recorded DSL, and we're going to start it with the countdown of 3 seconds to give me a chance to get over there and be ready. So I'm recording, I'm crouching, coming back, set that, do some things, and then Shift Escape will stop recording. Now I know that I'm not in the exact position that I was in, but let's see what it will do. So yeah, it's not following suit very well just because it wasn't in the same position in which I started my recording at. But as you can see, it performs all the actions that were recorded. To further expand on recording actions, I'm going to demo what I have done using Oblivion to boost up my sneak skill without me having to manually do it myself. So what I'll do is I'm going to create a tile, an action record tile that is going to continually walk when I'm already in sneak. As you can see, my symbol in Oblivion, I'm in sneak because there's some enemies over there. So I'm just going to record me moving a little bit, And then I should probably put me back in the position. And I'm going to use the build bulk tile in order to send this to the bulks deck section so I can loop it. So with build bulk enabled, I'm going to not send it, but it's going to put it over here to build bulk. I'm going to send it to just the standard default bulk, and we're going to call this sneak back forth. I'm going to send it to the spot. Now we're going to enable the loop toggle. These settings is how many times every command will play until it loops. So in this case, it's only going to send one command. It's going to loop. This is the amount of time it will take between each time every single one is played. And this is the number of loops it will play until it considers it done. So right now, because I just want to sneak forever until I'm super beefed up on sneak, I'm just going to leave that infinite. Let's see how this goes. We got to send the PID group. And let's go. I'm not controlling it. I could walk away and just kind of let it sit here and boost up my sneak while I'm taking care of life business. So it's continuing to loop. As you can see in the counter, it's counting up. See right here, 4. It just completed 4 loops of this. So that's how you would use the looping toggle to continually send a bunch of commands. So using this count to pause, like if it was over here, it would run through every single one of these commands, potentially pause depending, how long you have the pause set for, and it would loop through again depending on how many times you told it to loop. Continuing to expand on the bulk tile command as opposed to the single. Let's say that that big collection of alteration spells that we had made, we wanted to send all of those. The way we'd go about doing that, we would clear, and then we'd just be adding all the different spells we want to assign to a bulk tile. We'll just do that. Okay, with 3 more. And then it's getting assigned to the deck. This is alteration spells. Just so you can see it, switch it to bulk, and then we're going to add this new bulk tile. Now none of these are actions. Actions, in other words, being mouse and keyboard inputs. These are all just normal debug command sends. Now it's telling me in this info end suffix prompt active. Because of how the command console works, the additional enter that occurs after the debug command is sent can mess up bulk, so we disable that. The warning goes away. And we're going to send all these alteration spells back to back. As you can see, they're being added right up here. Still going. I can't remember how many I added. There, it sent all of them. And we can go and just double check. And we got a bunch more spells now. So that's how you can, instead of sending them one at a time, you can set up, you start a new character, and you have one tile that will send a bunch of particular commands you want. Bulk view also supports being able to send actions and non-actions. In other words, debug commands and then keyboard and mouse movements. I have set up a collection of debug commands to show this. I'm going to build it with the build bulk. We'll clean up the last set. This one sends a debug command. This one performs an action. This sends a debug command. This performs an action. And we're going to populate it into a tile. And these indicators are gray right now. This will show and reflect the status, so you can see when, if one fails, and where it fails at. So we're going to give this a shot, see how it goes. We need to put it into PID groups. Let's clean this up a little bit and then let you see it. Now, I'm going to send it. Debug command, action, debug command, an action. CopyPasta is doing this all itself, not me. And then it completes successfully. To show what the different settings are, the bulk tile settings, we're just going to add one for this one. This eye will expose and reveal. This one will add the different lines. And recording is supported, so I could just start recording. And it recorded. Of course, it's going to add it to the last line when you do that. Normally you don't add a bunch of empty lines, but from here I could add another one and say, you know, I want this to send God mode. And it's a non-action. This is an action, so we want to make sure that those are checked. And let's do it. And it's sent. And then this option here will basically tell it how it will turn off how many milliseconds delay between each line. So if you needed a pause between them, you know, however long, you needed a half a second. Let's see about it. Now it should wait a half a second, and then it'll send it. And then this option, the loop toggle, we went over that earlier. If we wanted to just play these two over and over again, depending on how many times we wanted, it would loop it as many times as we want. Okay, we've gone over bulk view and organizing into decks. We have the single view and organizing into decks. Now we're going to show the script view. Using Halo Infinite to show how modular CopyPasta is. I already got Halo Infinite running and I got it set as a process, so I'm going to perform a quick connect. And the quick connect reveals that there's two Halo Infinite processes due to the fact that it runs a bootstrap. And when you look at these, you can see that the megabytes on the shipping executable is larger than the bootstrap process. So the non-bootstrap process is usually the one that is running has more memory, so we're going to use that to connect. And in script view, what this essentially does is puts a monkey behind the keyboard and mouse and sends inputs at random intervals at random times, whatever inputs you send. There's two different monkey modes. The first one being all, which it means it will send any and all commands that the keyboard and mouse is recognized, and you can capture exclusions. So if you don't ever want it to ever press the tab key, you would enter tab, or if you don't ever want it to press shift, or whatever keys you don't want the all state to ever press, because it in all state it will press and put the game into any mode, any state. It's kind of like you want to figure out what a game can do in the sense of random buttons at random screens, at random UIs, during random times in-game. This is the one you'd use. Further exclusions, is the Windows key, focus changing. You don't want to press Alt-4. You can enable or disable the mouse movement for looking. And the delay is the gap between how much time in milliseconds it will wait before performing any button press. So you can kind of hone in even more on the randomness. Now, specific mode, this is the mode that facilitates being able to add all the different inputs into specific categories. And what I did is I went into the keyboard and mouse settings and looked at all the inputs that Halo Infinite takes, and then I mapped them to this new Halo Infinite deck. So in other words, character move is WASD. I captured those inputs and assigned it to the category move. If I wanted to add another one, I would just add another one, capturing these inputs, whichever input you want to have. I've already added all these just for the sake of time. As you can see, there's a fire weapon, jump, crouch, slide, sprint, use equipment, melee, throw a grenade, reload. All these inputs that Halo Infinite takes I've assigned to particular categories with particular random interval set times, including the gaps, how long in between button presses to wait before it presses it again, and this all mode includes how long to hold, like a range to hold the buttons, like if holding down the jump button longer causes the character to jump higher or shorter. So I set these at jump at different times so I can get the full small jump and high jump, and so this one with look, there is no input. It's just a true or false. Include the mouse move. So I've mapped all these inputs, and we're going to see what the monkey mode script will do. It's going to be random. CopyPasta is doing this all its own. I'm not inputting anything. It's just going through each of those categories that has buttons assigned and randomly picking which ones at random times. Now, this is to help, capture performance. It can help soaking, like you want a character to just be running around in a level, going random places, doing random things to see, maybe you come back and you find a crash, or you can troll through the debug logs to see if something interesting happens from the monkey script. So that's the initial, start to the monkey mode. So script view supports multiple different monkey modes, monkey scripts. The one we just showed was with save off. That means that none of the DSL tokens were saved. We can also set to an active script, monkey script with save on, which will save the DSL tokens to a text file for repeat later. For instance, I mentioned that if you running the monkey script and you walk away, you come back and you see a crash, you don't know how or why the crash happened, you could potentially attempt to repro the crash because with save on, because it recorded all the input. So just as an example, I've set the monkey script to only run for 30 seconds. I'm not going to let it run that long, but we're just going to let it run for a little bit. Okay, we're just going to stop it there. I'm going to position the character back around the location that it was at. just so you can see. So the monkey script gets saved locally in the monkey folder. And let's see the last one. Yep. It's going to edit with Notepad so we can take a look at it. This is all the inputs that it recorded, so we're going to just copy that. We're going to go into single, just add a new tile, edit text. We're going to paste that whole script, monkey script that was just ran, and we're going to set it to an action, and we're going to send it so we can see what happens. And here it is, replaying the thing that we had just done. There, it's done. I don't know why Halo likes to keep movement inputs going, but it does. So a little bit more about the script view, monkey mode all. This essentially will just press any key press at random intervals. It's more of like an open box in terms of like you don't know where it'll go. If you want the monkey script to go into any kind of menu and be mashing buttons inside there, this is essentially where you would go to. Just who knows? It's not in game. It can go into any menu. It could even probably shut itself down. It could probably end up killing the script just because of the fact that it's pressing any and all buttons. And that's what this exclusion is for. So it's like if I didn't want to enter the menu, like the escape key menu, I would tell it exclude the escape key, and it would avoid pressing the escape key. For this, we're going to leave the escape key on, and we're going to leave Alt 4, like never press that. Don't change focus combos, and the Windows key, don't ever press those. So let's just see what happens. Yep, there it was. So the monkey script actually opened up the chat log, which kicked us out of the window, which then will stop the monkey script because we don't know what it's going to get focused to, and we don't want the monkey to start pressing inputs in some random window that we don't have control over. So that's the mode. The more exclusions you include, the more control you can have over it. But then again, the specific mode is to have real fine control, so it will never get kicked out of, any screen that you don't particularly want. Now we're going to talk about the dump view. And the dump view was made for the purpose of working with an engine where you're able to dump all the debug commands related to a particular project. In this example, I'm going to be using the Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine supports the debug command help, which will dump to HTML all the debug commands, command line arguments and such. So I'm going to just send help. And it saves it to a directory here. Console help, and I'm going to select import, and then I'm going to open it. And this is all the debug commands that project supports. Currently it's filtered by effects. I'm going to remove that so you can see that it imported 1056 commands. This is every single command that this project currently has in it. And what we could do here is, like it was, set down a filter to show only the effects commands. And let's say I wanted to organize this, into a single deck, all commands related to VFX. So I have the effects command filtered. I'm going to select all that's been filtered. I'm going to create a new deck. It creates a new single deck and name it VFX. And I'm going to take all my selected commands and add to selected deck. added 36 commands to VFX. So we're going to go to single view and see here's the VFX deck. Oops. With all the effects commands already set and applied to that single view deck. Now, clear filtered. You can also just select a handful, whichever ones you want. Let's just do a new one. VFX sum. I'm going to add those. And then we can invert every single selection and, have a new deck. VFX sum 2. Add to selection. And then we're going to go to single view and just see. Oops. Yep, VFX sum. It added only the 6. And then the sum 2 added the other non-filtered ones. Now, let's see. Anim, how many? That's a lot. For the purpose of just showing it, this has 1,056 commands. Let's say we just wanted to dump every single one of these commands directly into single view. We can do that. We're just going to name it full dump. And what it's going to do is going to split up every single command and only allow 150 tiles per deck. So let's see how many this is going to do. You're going to get prompted with, hey, you're going to make a whole bunch. And it's going to ask, do you want to auto split it or do you want to add it to the cap? We're just going to auto split. And it looks like it created 7 decks, which it did. So it took every single command and split it up into the 7 decks. All, how many? 1,056 commands. The final view we'll talk about is the find view, which this allows you to search all of your layouts, including dump, for any particular debug command. So let's see. This will give you all the debug commands that and where they're at. So there's 12 locations in the single view that has the word anim found, and in dump it has a total of 15. We can continue to filter this so it's like you only wanted the dumps. Effectively, if you have this laid out with every single debug command, you could technically just use this. It will allow you to, you can go directly to the tile, which will take you there. We're going to use a single option. We're going to go to, and then it shows me right here with that flash. And also you can just straight up send the debug commands directly to the process. Instead of go to, you can be like, hey, this is the command I want. Dump PSE pool info, and you can just hit the send button to send it to whatever connected process you have. This effectively facilitates just being able to easily and quickly find any and all debug commands that you think you may have. So like for instance move. I know that in script we created a move category for the WASD, and there it is. This basically just allows the user to quickly find or send directly from the find view. Very helpful. Now, last but not least is the ability to save the states of layouts. Any of your layouts, you can save the whole project profile, every collection you have. And I'm going to go ahead and show that. There's multiple ways to go about doing it. You could do it directly from the views, the layouts. For instance, file.io, you can save the layout. The layout is everything that's within this single view. That would be including all these decks. As an example, we'll just save single. You can hone it down. Let's say you just wanted to send someone, like send a coworker, just the VFX commands. You can say, I want to save the currently open deck, and this is the VFX. You can load a layout. You can load a deck from here. You can export a layout, export deck. You can import a layout, import deck. Now these export and import directories are effectively, for instance, import. They're a level higher in folder hierarchy. So if some sort of source control wanted to be set up where it read users' exports, it would be able to, users would be able to come into the exports folder via this directory, and if that's their source control, and be like, hey, what does somebody have? Let's see. We can also, you can save each and every view like as such right here. Optionally, you can come into this file menu and save, like this save profile. This will save all the processes, all the group prompts, all the layouts. So we're just going to go ahead and do profile 1. And we're going to save groups, save processes and prompts separately. We're just going to call this number 1. The group processes, I just went over that. You can save just the processes or just the prompts. Now, just the processes is this view, this section. If you have a collection of all these different processes, and the group prompts are these start, end, and complete input prompts that get assigned to each particular process group. You can load from here, and it auto-populates with what exists. So there's the one we just saved. We can load that now. There would be no change at the moment. I'll go ahead and show that. Under Edit, we'll just say, hey, we're going to clear all processes. We're going to clear everything. And it asks you, you sure you want to clear each one? Just in case, you only wanted to clear, say you didn't want to clear bulk. You skip that one. You can come to bulk, and here's the bulk is still here. So we're going to come into load. We're going to load that profile we just had previously saved. We're going to load it. Everything is back. And let's see, we can also, we're going to export a profile. So that's just now been exported. Going to clear all. And you can see that they're now all empty, including dump. PID groups are empty. And then we're going to import that layout we just did. And this reads it from the hierarchy above. If there was source control made for the whole team on the project, can have access to a folder level higher than where they save all of their local user data. We can also just quickly select new, and it'll prompt you, hey, it's going to clear everything. It can't be undone. You'll have a chance to save. You're going to say, yeah, would you like to save it? Yeah, and this is going to be number 2. And now we have a fresh layout project profile to fill out.